Hello, and welcome to a new edition of Need to Know, a series of video interviews with companies who are shaping, creating, and innovating in the games industry today, and whose work will have a huge impact going forward into the future. Today, I'm delighted to welcome ChrisTaylor, partner at Eaton Smith Solicitors, here with us to talk today about the legalities of running prize promotions, which everyone will know is a great way of exciting interest in a video game. Before we get into the detail of running prize promotions, Chris, do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about Eaton Smith and your work in the games industry?
Yeah, thank you, Leo. Eaton Smith's been working in the games sector for longer than the 18 and a bit years that I've been at the firm. We act for developers, publishers, art studios, and music composers, and those include foreign clients who need English law advice as well. Our clients range from global developer giants, publishing giants, sizable art studios, through to solo developers and music composers. So we put that variety of experience to good use when we're advising our clients. We've been helping clients with their prize promotion terms and conditions for many years. So we do know a thing or two about that kind of activation, whether it's a social media giveaway or direct interaction with the public at an event or an in-store promotion.
Fantastic, fantastic. Lots of experience then. So, first things first, do you want to tell us a little bit about, I guess, what people should be considering? What are the first thoughts of someone wanting to run a prize promotion?
Sure. The first thing, as I'm bound to say, is that people should be getting their terms and conditions in place. And those terms need to balance a number of competing issues. There's the need for them to be suitable to the activation, protect the promoter as appropriate, and they also need to comply with legal and regulatory issues in all of the territories that the promotion is going to be run in. Terms and conditions of entry should be transparent, easy to read, and be clear. And they do need to contain all the significant conditions and relevant information regarding the promotion itself. You've also got to consider other matters such as the cap code, and prize promotions in the UK do need to comply with the cap code, and that code contains very specific rules about the content of terms and conditions. From an international perspective, depending on the eligible territories, there may also need to be jurisdictional considerations, such as having the terms and conditions translated or amended to ensure that they meet the requirements of local laws, or they might need to be lodged with the local regulator, or the promoter might have to provide security for the prizes. Each promotion it's got its own nuances, and proper thought as to the legalities should be given early in the process rather than, for example, just the week before the start. Also, if the competition involves the creation of artwork, so, for example, submitting it for being judged and for use in the game or in future marketing, there should be appropriate provisions in the terms and conditions concerning an IP license or assignment regarding any future use by the promoter. The terms and conditions will vary depending on the promoter's requirements, but they are vital to get right and for them to be properly incorporated into the promotion's mechanics, bringing them to the attention of the entrants before entry. It is all about transparency and taking a sensible approach that is compliant with relevant local laws.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. Lots of things to sort of consider first up. So the other thing I wanted to ask, I hear a little bit about gambling laws sometimes being needed to be considered when running a prize promotion here in the UK. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. The first thing to say is that game developers and publishers, quite possibly will not hold a gambling license. So they do need to structure the promotion as a competition or as a free prize draw to avoid any impression that they're running what is called an illegal lottery. A competition relies on entry or success being linked to an exercise of skill, knowledge, or judgment, such as solving a puzzle or answering a question to secure entry. But just because your prize promotion has such a mechanism, that doesn't automatically mean that everything's okay. For example, a question can't be too simple, or the answer shouldn't be too widely and commonly known. So to avoid it being seen as a game of chance, the skill, knowledge, or judgment element of a competition should either prevent a significant proportion of people from taking part, or prevent a significant proportion of people who do take part from receiving a prize. The position will vary according to the nature of the competition, and that's why it's important to take legal advice on a case-by-case basis. The other option was a free prize draw, and that's the other way that you can run a prize promotion without breaching gambling laws. But even then, it's important that promoters are aware of what might constitute payment, so that a promoter can avoid taking any such payment. And it isn't always just taking money or money's worth. An example is that the collection of personal data, such as filling in a survey with names or email addresses, would not be classed as payment, but only if the data collection is proportionate, and the reason behind the collection is not for some form of separate commercial purposes. So, for example, selling the data to a third party afterwards. Of course, where personal data is involved, you've got the data protection implications as well. A further example of avoiding payment to enter is that if entry can be done via a normal rate telephone call, or sending an entry via first or second class post, that isn't classed as paying to enter, but a premium rate phone call would be. Separately, an arrangement won't be treated as requiring a person to pay to participate if there's a choice of free or paid entry. And of course, where there is a choice of entry across paid and free routes, the opportunity to win prizes must be equal across the methods. So there's quite a lot to bear in mind regarding gambling laws and avoiding your promotion from being seen as an illegal lottery.
Absolutely. And as part of that, you mentioned collecting personal data, filling in a survey with names and addresses. That must have sort of data protection implications. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that comes into play when running a prize promotion?
Data protection is fundamentally all about the safe handling of people's personal data, handling it in a transparent and appropriate way. Personal data is pretty much anything that can be used to identify a natural person. And in the context of promotions, that could include names, addresses, email addresses, usernames, telephone numbers, and so on. As a prize promotion involves the collection and handling of personal data, then you do need to ensure that you're keeping the data safe by adopting appropriate technological and proportionate technological measures to secure it safely. The more resources that are available to you, the higher the expectation is for safeguarding the data. You also need to be sure that you're being transparent about your collection of the data, and you're only using it where there is a lawful basis for doing so. That information is normally found in the privacy policy, which is connected with the sign-up process, and lawyers can help you prepare a privacy policy and advise you on your data protection obligations as well.
Absolutely, lots of things to consider there on the GDPR front. So occasionally, I've seen some countries being excluded from entry into promotions. I'm just curious as to why that might be. What would you say on that front?
Well, it's always tempting to maximize the promotion of your game by making the prize promotion worldwide. But there can be country-specific rules to follow for particular countries, such as Italy, or as has been the case in the past, Quebec. Country-specific rules do change from time to time, and I believe that Quebec has relaxed its position recently, so it is easier for promotions to be run, including the Quebec area. With enough preparation time, promotions do run smoothly, but there can be nuances in certain territories that need investigation and navigation. So you do need to know whether it might be better to exclude certain territories from entry. That can lead to a certain amount of irritation from the residents of particular territories, and it can also cause a bit of a headache for your community managers, but that's why some territories are sometimes excluded.
Okay, well, it's quite interesting. So in terms of rules around judging competitions, I mean, is this something that anyone can do? Do you want to sort of talk about sort of judging?
Yeah. Well, if there is a skill element, then there needs to be an independent judge or a panel with an independent member. The independent person must be demonstrably independent from both the promoter and also the pool of entrants. The judge needs to be competent to judge the competition, and their full name must be made available on request, with the judge giving their consent in advance to their name being disclosed if that is so requested. If the promotion is a prize draw on a random basis, then you can use a random number generator and film the draw as evidence of the process used. But you should take steps to blur any personal data that might be visible. And finally, you should always make sure that you do issue the prizes as intended. I always put a time period in terms and conditions for an entrant to claim their prize after notification, so that the promoter can reallocate a prize if it isn't claimed within the suitable period.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I think that's there's lots of insight there into prize promotions, running competitions, and everything, and lots of things to consider, and especially for developers and publishers and PR people to keep in mind when they're devising these giveaways. Um, Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time this afternoon, and we'll make sure your details are available for anyone wanting to carry on this conversation. Thank you as well today for our audience who have tuned in to catch this video. There's plenty of other need to know videos out there on our Ukie TV channel on YouTube. And thank you so much for enjoying this one, and more soon. Thank you.